Now let's step back a bit from Apple's reality distortion field for a while and talk broadband. There's a new technology that allows you to merge your DSL, your 3G, and even your cable internet bandwidths into one super fast connection. And to tell us more about this, we're joined here in the studio by Chris Weinhaupl, the president of Superframe, a firm that's already rolled out the technology dubbed as broadband bonding in Canada. It is now partnering with a local Filipino firm to bring this to Pinoy enterprises. Chris, thanks for coming to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And did I mangle your last name? I'm sorry.
Did a great job.
Thank you very much. I hope to do a great job for future generations to come. Now, what is broadband bonding in the technical sense? Do you actually merge bandwidths?
Well, what we do is we take two different internet service suppliers,
All right.
and we create one large pipe. And that way we create resiliency for the end user, the customer, but we create bandwidth, which is what a lot of businesses require today to make more or to do their business correctly and faster.
And to create a bigger pipe, does that mean that you also have separate infrastructure that allows you to bond those different bandwidths?
We use a low-cost consumer router that allows us to bond these services together.
It's a router.
In a sense, yes.
In a sense.
Yeah.
So they actually combine the different ISPs into one pipe, as you said. And in doing so, does that actually create more cost efficiency? Because you're assuming that you have different ISPs, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the business problem today is we need more bandwidth. We need more
All the
bandwidth to
time.
do cloud computing, to do online shopping, to deliver internet access for our iPads and our iPhones. So with Superframe, or the bonding service, we can generate the ability to create more bandwidth access at a location. Telecom today has DSL, which is a fixed speed, but we can bond 2 DSLs or 3 DSLs and make more bandwidth available.
Is that assuming that, say, in a particular office or enterprise, that they would have 3 different, say, in your example, 3 different providers that they would then merge into one pipe?
That's exactly right. And that's actually fairly common in North America, where we will see customers buying services from 3 different carriers so that they can have redundancy between carriers. And if one carrier is having a bad day, the other 2 carriers will be able to support their business.
Okay. Now you say that that's common, fairly common in maybe North America or in America, but how about the situation, do you think, in the Philippines? I mean, most companies probably would stop at having one ISP and not really spring for another one as a backup.
Well, today we're driven by bandwidth. So if I have a business with 10 employees and I grow to 20 employees and I need more bandwidth to support 20 employees, I have to look for a solution. Today a telecom company might say, well, we will bring fiber to your building at a costly expense. Superframe fits that gap. We can bring more bandwidth to support those more employees.
But in your observation, would most Philippine companies now have that kind of flexibility to merge bandwidths, or do you see that they actually try to cut down on costs and maybe just stick to one ISP and bear with it?
Well, I think that's one of the challenges. You can bear with it and maybe not grow your business, but I think the Filipino companies here want to grow, want to be bigger, want to work with the other global companies, and they need bandwidth to do that.
Right. And that necessarily makes it now I guess a protocol for them to have more than one ISP. I mean, how would they benefit from having a super pipe if they don't do that? I mean, obviously some companies will say, okay, I can stick with one ISP. If they want to grow, does that necessarily mean that they have to get another ISP, or should they just get a bigger plan to pay for more bandwidth?
Well, if you go to your ISP and you purchase the largest plan they have at the cost that you can afford as a small business, your you're at their limit. With SuperFrame, we can add that and we can double their limit. So the telecom has a limit for DSL speeds. We can double that by buying additional services from the same ISP, a different ISP, and we can triple it or quadruple it. So as my business grows, I can get more bandwidth to my business to support my growth.
So there is a cost saving, in a sense, than just necessarily buying a higher data plan from your ISP.
Oh, absolutely. Some of the data plans require new infrastructure, and that's a costly expense. But in the interim, we can use the SuperFrame technology in order to bridge that gap and create savings for us and allow us to grow.
Now, as we've said in the introduction, that they call it broadband bonding in Canada. How effective has it been, or what kind of success stories can you actually tell local companies to encourage them to adapt or adopt this kind of technology?
Sure, we have a cross-section of all industries using the SuperFrame technology. We have head offices that want to communicate with their branch offices and require the additional bandwidth to send data between branches on an ongoing daily basis. We have banks using the Sharedband technology in order to create redundancy between carriers at remote sites. I think as a bank consumer, if my bank is offline and not working, I can't do my banking. So banks need that reliability. We also have media companies and social media companies that require more bandwidth to interact with their customers, whether that be by blogging or by using cloud services like Facebook. And bandwidth is very important for doing that. So I think depending on what the business is, I think globally, internet is driving almost every business, and bandwidth is very important.
Well, not unless they actually utilize the internet transmission or broadband through electric cables, using the technology to speed up broadband delivery. But I think we're still a long way off from doing that. In the meantime, looking at the super pipe, how much would that cost initially for a small company to invest in?
Well, this is typically sold through an ISP, so an ISP can deliver that service, and that usually adds an $80 to a monthly bill for a small business.
So all you need to do with that router, so to speak, is to install it in the company. And who sets it up? I mean, basically, who actually manages it?
Well, what we've seen in other countries is the internet service provider actually providing the installation service, much like an internet service provider will install a DSL service to your business. So they'll send the same type of technician out and install it. It's a very simple, straightforward installation, very quick for both the ISP to do and also the small business to work with the ISP.
So the feedback that you've gotten so far from companies who've adopted this SuperFrame, what has been the boost to their productivity or even the cost savings to their business?
It's meant, I think we've all experienced this, where we're sitting at our computer waiting for something